I appreciate that. Yeah, so you guys, we'll get started here in just 1 minute. We got David Gable from Kixie, and we're gonna have a good chat about Kixie, and then hopefully we can walk through some stuff about Kixie and kind of show you guys what that's all about and how that works.
Hopefully.
Just getting our live stream going right now. So that's awesome. We're good to go. Awesome. Okay, you guys. Well, welcome to another Friday workshop. Sorry, we're a little bit late here. We had some technical flip-flopping around here, just to figure out exactly what we're doing, but I appreciate everybody is on and then we are able to get started. Um, yeah, it's awesome. I'm really happy to have David on here from Kixie. We met at the Level Up event in Dallas in October, and they were one of my favorite booths. They were awesome.
Oh,
What I love that you guys had was you guys had all little hydration packs always. So for everybody walking around that
yeah,
event, we're able to just
totally.
stay hydrated. So that was awesome. I definitely hit you guys up for that. And then the best thing, David and I, we teamed up together for beer pong and we kicked ass.
We did well. We redeemed ourselves. I was
We did.
worried too because we're two massive guys, and we're massive guys aren't typically known for hand-eye coordination, but we
Yeah.
managed to pull it off. We did great.
Oh, we did amazing. So that was a lot of fun. And you know, yeah, I just, you know what? We started doing these Friday workshops, and the whole thing is just to kind of help out the community here too, right? On different things that
Yep.
you can do, because one of the things I've always find with high level is there's so much going on, and there's so many different options and things that you could be doing, and new people coming in, and even people have been in for years are like they don't even know what all that they can do to help streamline their processes, help to make things better. And one of the things that turned me on, we actually had a client that used you guys a little while ago, and they were setting up their call thing, and what they loved about it was that you guys can dial multiple people at the same time to be able to follow up
Yep.
with them faster and do all that kind of stuff. So excited to have you on. And yeah, maybe you can tell us a little bit about Kixie and you know, uh, get started that way.
Sure. I'll make it clear at the outset. Like the last thing I want this to be is like an ad for Kixie or like some schlocky sales things. But what I do want it to be is helpful for everyone joining. Because I
Yeah.
think most people I know in the high level community are doing something really brave. They are trying to go out on their own and start a business that oftentimes competes with well-funded established businesses that have been doing this a long time and doing it with like their own or minimal resources. And that's
Right.
hard.
Bootstrapping. Yeah.
They're bootstrapping, man. It is, and I love that. Like I joined Kixie as employee number 5 because I wanted to be part of a bootstrap company that wasn't raising money. We didn't raise a bunch of rounds or anything like that, and was growing organically and really doing the same thing you guys are trying to do: compete against a bunch of other entrenched larger companies that have their own dialers. And so
Mhm.
when I learned about high level through Sean, whom I know, I really liked the modality with which they went to market. I liked the people they were helping. I like because I'll tell you this. I know this might seem like a little rant, but I think it's a cool little bit of tidbit of history. Like I used to be an attorney. I don't practice right now, but I was in-house counsel for a bunch of tech company startups in the Bay Area. And one thing I noticed was that they typically had this incestuous relationship with a bunch of other tech companies. So you would have one tech company raise a bunch of money from Andreessen Horowitz or something, build software, and then sell to another company who raised a bunch of money from like Andreessen Horowitz and sold them software. And it was this really weird match. Yeah, it was so funny. Like, I mean, were they making a difference? I guess, but they were just helping each other sell each other software. It's
Right.
really weird. So you just have a bunch of VC money going back and forth to
And
each
then
other.
they're all
And
exiting
then
and selling to each other and then
they're
just
all they're
back and
all
forth.
exiting, they're all making a bunch of money. But then there's this huge swath of America, like 85% of America, that they don't even touch. I
Right.
mean, when we went to that Go High Level convention, or when I went to another Go High Level meetup in Missouri, these companies have never been to Missouri. I'd be shocked if they flew over Missouri to any other destination. Like, that is not who they're selling to.
Right.
So So I
Yeah.
really love the opportunity to sell. Like our whole go-to-market strategy is going to the underserved population of America and outside America that doesn't get access to these tech tools. Because I think
Yeah.
one of the worst things that can happen is you guys work on all these skills, you put all this energy, you build your own business, and then at the end of the day, some kid in California who has better technology beats you at your own game, not because they put in the effort, not because they spent the money, not because they learned the tools, not because they took the risks, just because they had better tech. Like that's the
Yeah.
worst thing that can happen. So what Kixie is it's a calling and texting platform. It integrates natively with Go High Level, and it's powerful enough to allow anyone who's starting a business to compete with the most powerful dialers out there. Like you take a dialer like 5.9, which costs thousands of dollars to set up, and is instituted in most of the large enterprise companies, like you could be an IBM or whatever, and you're using that for dialing. There is no feature that 5.9 has that Kixie does not have. Kixie's just a whole lot easier to set up, and it's a whole lot cheaper. And so that's really been our kind of strategy. And I can go into individual features and
Yeah.
stuff of Kixie, like depending on what was most interesting to people here. But I think the most important thing is to adopt a technology like Kixie so that you're not outcompeted just purely based on the tech that your outbound or outreach agents are using, like the outbound agents that are doing the calling.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like so one of the things I find cool about it definitely is your instead of doing like within high level where we're doing like we're doing their dialer, they have
Yep.
like you can call one lead at a time, right?
Yep.
But what I love about Kixie is that oh sorry, we just got a
Jason, you muted yourself, babe. And you muted David too.
We knew
oh
everybody.
meeting
We
everybody.
had a bit of an
Well, there's
overreaction.
just all right, Shan. Maybe
It's
you have
right.
to look at the participants because it's there's people flooding in right now.
Okay,
It's an
I'm gonna
All right,
anticipatory pause. I like
make
it.
me
We
a
built it.
yeah.
host.
We'll just pause. It was a glitch. Anyway, yeah. So that one thing that I love about the Kixie is that I love the idea that you can call a bunch of people at the same time.
Yep.
It will pick up with the person who picks up first, and then you can have a
Yep.
good conversation with them. And then it also will do and it will also detect. It will do its best to detect for voicemail as well. So if it accidentally
Yeah.
voicemail,
100%.
um,
We can dive into some of the problems that you typically run into with
yeah.
calling and kind of how we solve them.
Sure, that'd
So
be awesome. Like, so
sure.
what is a problem that like most people because here's what we're talking about, right? You
Hmm.
go and you get a bunch of customers or you're running ads, you're getting leads, people are coming into your system, and you need a way you should be calling them.
Yes.
And this is where this came from. Chanel was on a road trip about a month ago and she was driving. It was like a 15-hour drive. And
Wow.
she was
It was
she was
awesome.
getting phone calls and she was
That's
like,
wow.
I'm just gonna pick up phone calls
Yeah.
because I'm
I'll
gonna pick
just
up phone
talk to
calls
these
because I need
salespeople.
somebody to talk
Yeah.
to kind of thing.
I
So
like
Yeah.
had so
I
many
like it.
conversations with like extended leave, hours of
Awesome.
conversations. I'm like, sure, I'll do that. Like,
so she was
Well,
like, I think we should be calling people.
yeah.
I think that we should be calling people more. And I know
Hmm.
we got a mastermind called Agency Launch Lab, and in there we tell people to call the people. If you get a lead that
Yes.
comes in, because we're talking to small businesses, right? Call
Yep.
them back, right? And people aren't calling; they're just trying to do things automated. Oh, let's try to automate as much as
Yes.
we can. But then that takes out the whole human interaction of things, and you
Totally.
don't get better at sales by not talking with people. So,
Yep. Yeah, let me
um,
tell you, like
yeah,
a little tip or trick generally. The higher the barrier to engage in a type of conversation or medium with somebody, like the harder it is, the more effective it is. So
yes,
if it's a low barrier to entry, like sending an email, anybody can send an email. No, in fact,
yeah,
nobody, like as in no person, just an AI can send all those emails, right? So by sending an email, you do not differentiate yourself from even the worst salesperson, right? Because the worst salesperson can send a sequenced email. Text
totally.
a little bit better, but still, and the reason text isn't as effective as calling, because anyone can text. And the reason they don't have a problem with texting and why they're not resistant to texting like they are with calling is because being rejected over text doesn't really sting that much. It really is a pretty impersonal thing.
Yeah.
Calling, now you're getting a little step more. Calling, now you're going to get rejected over the phone by a real person who's gotten a chance to learn who you are. And man, that stings a lot more. And it takes more skill. In person, even more than that, right? It doesn't scale very well, but man, that's really hard. So typically, whatever modality of engagement you're doing with a prospect, with a customer, the more difficult it is, the more risk of rejection there is, the more hesitancy other people are going to have. And then by doing it, the more credit you get with that person or that customer by actually taking that risk. And if you guys are taking the risk already of starting your own business, of building something on Go High Level, like, you are the courageous risk takers. So don't shy away from taking a courageous risk and calling somebody on the phone. That is your superpower. That is the advantage you have over a big company that doesn't need to take that kind of effort in order to reach people, right? So use your strategic advantage, and get a hold of people live on the phone.
I 100% agree. And that's one of the things we've been trying to say in Agency Launch Lab too. And so back to this thing where we're generating these leads, right? These customers are coming in. We've got phone numbers and we've got emails and we've got people who are interested in something that we have. Why not pick up the phone and call them? Right?
100%.
Why not pick up the phone and just say like, hey, I just saw that you downloaded this thing from my site, or I just saw that you requested this information.
Totally.
Why?
100%.
How's it going? Can we chat?
Totally.
It was awesome. We had one of our members, Samantha. She was struggling for leads or struggling for just getting clients, and we're like, go make a list of 100 businesses and call them. And she did. She did. She was like, okay, I'm gonna go do it. She went, and over the course of a week, I think she was making 10 or 15 calls a day, but she called 100 people.
Awesome.
And she had probably 20 or 30 good conversations with people. And some of them turned into some business right there. But then she found a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, people started calling her back saying like, oh, we had that conversation, I'm ready to go now. I want to talk to you about what we can do,
The other great tip or trick is, like, if you get on a call with somebody and you just build rapport and have a good conversation, even if they're not a good fit for what you're selling, you have the opportunity right there to ask them, hey, do you know anyone that this might be a good fit for? And you would be shocked by how often those people become referral partners for you and will send you information from other people. And then it's a warm connection. They're going to be, oh yeah, actually, you know what? I know Brad, and he actually would be a great fit. Let me connect you to. And now you've got a warm intro from someone you've already built rapport with to a customer who's probably a good fit. You would never get that over email.
No, we did the exact same that thing with it was a landscaping company, and I was chatting with them, and he was like, I am swamped. I'm working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I can't take on another client. So I don't need marketing, but here's 3 other landscaping businesses that I know that just started up and they're struggling to get clients. So here's their information, here's their information, here's their information. You need to go and have conversations with these guys.
Yeah.
That's great. I love it.
So where does Kixie come into play then? Like, so we've talked about the importance of picking up the phone and calling leads or whatever, but I would like for you to explain to me, I'm not Jason, who's super techy. I am a salesperson and I know people. But I would like to hear, tell me how Kixie works.
Let's talk about 2 types of calls and how Kixie would fit in with both. So the first type of call, let's say, I'm going to call it a speed to lead call. This is an inbound lead. So you've got GHL Pro Tools, and it does an awesome job of creating funnels for you, tracking your marketing campaigns, moving Facebook leads into real customers, all of that stuff, right? Like, that is what you guys do a fantastic job at. When someone fills out a gated content form or a contact us form, or comes in through one of your funnels, one of your GHL Pro 2 funnels, the minute they come in and get assigned to a rep, there's 2 ways you can handle it. You can do the typical thing, which is you're going to wait until your rep happens to get off a call that they're on or finish doing what they're doing, notice that a lead comes in, gets themselves together and makes that call and hopes to God that person hasn't moved on. And let's be honest, like, anyone who's waited for a web page to download knows that our attention span these days is so short.
Totally.
If you're not
That's
calling that
something
person in a minute or two, they are on to the next thing.
100%.
The other way to do it is to build a workflow right inside a high level where Kixie has action steps. And the minute that lead comes in and gets assigned to a rep, boom, we trigger an auto call from the rep to that lead right that second. And that does two things. One, it's fast and automatically fast. You're not waiting for a rep to let you down by taking their time. But two, it gets rid of call hesitation. Because one of the interesting things is, and this is true about the second type of call, which is power. Dude, it is the number one killer. People think that like technology is the reason the reps aren't making a lot of calls. For some reasons, but for most of them, it's not the speed it takes to type in a phone number or even click on a phone number. It's actually it's preparing yourself to get rejected again. Because let's be real. The game of sales is a game of rejection, not a game of success. Like most of the time, the default state is you are going to get rejected on that call. That is the default. The exception is you'll get a sale. So preparing yourself mentally to get rejected over and over and over again is tough. If you can just push yourself into the pool, by having that auto call trigger, well, you don't even have time to get worried about it. You're on the call talking to somebody. And once you're talking, things get a lot easier. It's the getting ready to talk to somebody that's so tough. So that's the first type of call. Inbound lead comes in. We want to trigger an auto call. The second inbound lead comes in. The second type is what you already talked about, Jason, and what you were doing for 15 hours, which was, by the way, most people talk about a power hour. A power of 15 hours is fantastic. So that's you've got a list of people you need to call, and you want to start getting through this list. And there's two ways to do it. You can manually do it, which is brutal. We all know that's brutal. Or you can use an auto dialer to do it. Kixie has a killer auto dialer. So not only can we push an auto dial, meaning we upload a list right into it, or we can actually automate a list to feed right in from Go High Level. So as the leads are coming in, they feed into a Kixie list. We can auto dial down the list, dial, right? Great. We can also multi-line dial, which means that every one of your calls, instead of dialing one person at a time, you're dialing 3 or 5 or up to 10 people at a time. And that means only one person out of these 10 need to pick up, because let's talk about the other default state. People not answering the phone. Most calls you make are going to hit a voicemail or a no one answer the phone message because no voicemail has been set up. Most of them are not going to land a real person. Because again, what are the odds that you calling a random person at a random time of day that they're going to happen to be free and acquiesce to a call from a person they don't know for an unspecified length of time? I mean, it's so small. It's why people text. It's why we text so often and don't call. So whatever maximizes the amount of conversations you have by maximizing the amount of dials you have by dialing 10 people at a time, that is going to save you a lot of time, and it's going to connect you with a lot more real people. Because the other thing we do is if a non-real person answers like a voicemail, we try and suss that out through AI, drop that call off, and connect you to a real person who answers the phone. So that's a great way. Those are two great ways to use Kixie to get a hold of leads quickly and really, really efficiently.
Cool. I've got a couple more questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, 100%. That's why I'm here.
So I'm not sure. I'm sure that, you've heard of this, but the old trick in the book where you call, they don't answer, you hang up, and you call right back again. Is that something that you can set Kixie up to do?
Yeah, you can totally double tap in Kixie, 100%. The other cool thing we have is we have a feature called Connection Boost that combines 3 things. One of them is exactly what you're talking about. So the first is number rotation. And by doing that, it's going to dial with a different local number each time you call the person.
Cool.
Why I like that is frequently I'm trying to get a hold of decision makers like C-level people at companies and stuff. And they're busy. They're in meetings all goddamn day. And so, the odds of me catching them is very low. So I want to call them 4 or 5 times in a day to catch them in between meetings. But if I do that with my number and I call someone 5 times in a day, they are blocking my number and they are never taking my call again. Right. So instead, what I do, and it's kind of tricky, but it's so effective, is I rotate the number each time I call. And when they pick up, I just act like I have impeccable timing. Like, oh my God, you just finished your lunch break? Dude, that's perfect. Oh, I'm so happy I got a hold of you. Wonderful. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
With that thing, you guys have local numbers too, right? That's the other cool thing about it too, is you guys have local numbers already pre-set up. So when they're calling from it, it's going to show from inside that state.
100%.
Where they're calling from, right? Too. So you're not calling from international number. You're not calling out of state. You're not calling from somewhere else. you're calling from somewhere local.
Yeah.
Totally. If you
Which is
wanted to
super
call
nice.
someone, if you wanted to have your own local presence bank, like you went to a different provider, like Five9 or something like that, and you say, I want numbers that cover every overlay just in the 50 states or the 48 contiguous states. That's what I want. Well, guess what? Like that's going to take about 384 numbers, I think, something like that, 380 numbers, and you
Yeah.
have to pay for those every month. Kixie
Right.
has a bank of 50,000 numbers all over the world, Canada, US, all over the world. And
Yeah.
when you use Kixie, all you have to do is toggle this feature on, and it's going to leverage that whole bank of phone numbers. And whenever you call someone in any area code, it's going to pick a number the same 10 to 15 miles geographically from their phone number and use that to reach them, and then
That's
rotate that each time.
so cool.
It's
That's
really
so
Yeah.
cool.
It's
cool.
so cool.
And
All right.
they're real
All right.
numbers. So someone calls them back, they route back to you like it was your
That is
permanent number.
amazing. That
Yep.
is amazing. So I run a lot of ads. Like I work a lot more inside of the agency that we have. Jason
Mhm.
works a lot more in like,
Power tool
the high
stuff.
level
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I run a lot of ads, and I'm really pushing call extension ads on Google for a lot of the home services
Mhm.
businesses that I'm working with. And I'm working with a really large siding um manufacturer.
Yeah.
So I'm running ads for like Home Depot, Rona, whatever, for this type of siding and call extension ads. It's
Mhm.
interesting, right? Because they're getting tons of calls. I can hear the recordings. They're
Yep.
actually really good leads. But a lot of missed calls, number one.
Yep.
And number two, the sales reps aren't great. Like
Well,
I
Yeah.
some of the sales
some of the
reps.
calls that I listen to where it's like they don't even answer the phone with the bit. They're like, "Hi,
Oh
Suzanne
no.
here," and then the guy's like, "Is this blank siding?" Oh yeah. Did you see one of our like it's there's this confusion of where the lead is
Yes.
like, who the
Oh
fuck am I
no.
calling right now?
Oh
And I'm just
no.
like, are
Totally.
we or what the heck is going on?
Yeah, and I
Um,
think some of that has to do with
it's
the
crazy.
different businesses because we also send those leads directly to some of the local businesses that we're running
Yeah.
to because there's a partnership there, and they're not salespeople, right? They're not
Yes.
Right.
salespeople. They're the manager of that local business or whatever,
Yep.
or the front desk staff who are
Yeah.
answering the phone call
Yeah.
Yep.
And
for
so
I'll,
like
that.
when I'm handing a business, 50 phone calls a day,
yep.
um, what if they're not picking up the phone? Or like if I were to set up Kixie,
Yeah.
you know, is there like an AI type option here that we can start looking at, or is it still not quite there yet? Like,
I'll tell you two great tricks on Kixie to handle that. So one is when a phone call comes in from a specific campaign that you're running, it's going to tell you right in the dialer which campaign that was. So if they're
mhm.
calling about siding versus they're calling about landscaping, it'll say, incoming call, siding, Facebook ad, or whatever. It'll have whatever
Yeah,
label you assign to that inbound extension. So that way
Okay.
the recipient of the call knows right away they're calling about siding from the
Does that
Facebook
pop up on
ad.
their phone then?
Pops up right
That's-
on there. If they're using Kixie mobile app on their
Oh,
mobile app, it'll also pop up on their desktop if they're using a desktop app.
okay, so
So it'll
nice.
there's a
pop
mobile
right up
app
there.
that they would have on their phone.
Yeah, either way, either the
Okay.
Kixie desktop app, which is more powerful, I'll be totally transparent, or the mobile app.
Yeah,
The
the
other
high
thing
level.
that's really cool, I'll tell you a cool little automation I use because oftentimes I'm doing a podcast like this or a webinar or something, and my
Yeah.
phone's
Yeah.
ringing. I have an automation set up that when I get a call and it's a missed call, an auto text goes back out right through Kixie and says, "Hey, this is David. Sorry I missed your call. I'm probably doing a webcast, podcast, webinar, or something like that. Call me back. Let me know when a good time to call back is, or click on my Calendly link to schedule a time that you'd love to talk." That missed call auto text is such a simple little automation,
Right.
but it makes me so much more responsive, and people are so appreciative that I text them right back and I give them
Yeah.
the opportunity to schedule a time when they know I'm free. That's like
Mhm.
a real win. We set a lot of people up with that. It's a real win. There
Yeah.
are AI agents out there. We don't use them right now on Kixie for two reasons. There's a lot of TCPA worry about whether or not they'll be
Yeah.
like regulatory, like whether it's going to be okay or not, and that we're going to running afoul of a law. The other reason is that I haven't seen one good enough to close a deal yet.
Yeah.
Right.
I've seen ones that run interference for support, like someone calls in and they want to kind of just deal with a person with using the minimal amount of staff possible. In my opinion, that's a big company play. Once you have enough leads and brand recognition that you have a swarm of customers coming in, and at that point you're worried about financial mitigation, and you're like, how do I extract the most revenue from these potential customers while paying for the least number of reps possible? That's a great place to use AI agents. If you're listening to this, you're probably, I'm just being honest, you're probably not there. You're probably trying to gain market share, not trying to be picky and choosy about which market share you get. You want it all. And the experience you want them to have is a better one than that big company that's using interference or an Indian call center or an
I just
IVR.
find it frustrating, right?
100%. I think you nailed it. So I think what we want to do is we want to make, especially non-salespeople, give them the tools that they need to seem like really effective salespeople. So let them know exactly why the call's coming in, give them context for the call, give them some automation. So if they miss the call, it seems like they're really on top of it and texting them right back. I think that's going to solve a lot of that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love it. I like your answer because I think there's a lot of people turning towards that now. And I'm such a firm believer in like still being real,
100%. Well, I think that's your competitive advantage. So I think a really important thing to think about when you're building a business, any business, what is your strategic advantage? And what you'll hear a lot if you ask somebody that question is, oh, we're going to work harder, we're going to work smarter. Those aren't strategic advantages. Those are hopeful anecdotes, hopeful aphorisms that maybe will make your business successful. That's not a strategy.
What sets you apart? We care.
A strategy is we care. We actually care. When you call our business, someone in Canada or in North America who speaks your language, who's knowledgeable with the product, who's happy to help, is going to get on the actual phone with you and walk you through the process.
Right.
I'll tell you this, we've done it at Kixie, and we use that strategy and talking to businesses like the ones on this call, as opposed to the big tech companies in the Bay Area. And we grew from a 5-person team to well over 100 people in just a couple with no fundraising. Because we differentiated with that market strategy. I encourage all of you guys to leverage that strategic advantage, because those big companies are doing the opposite of that. They're trying to find a way to pay their sales force less by automating as much as possible, as opposed to making their reps they do employ more as possible.
Toilet paper and paper towel rolls.
Mute button.
She is right though. It is more personable. She did say that.
So you guys grew really rapidly. Do you have any insights or tips you want to share around that?
100%. I think the first one is that you want to find out what your strategic advantages are and really lean into them. I'll tell you another one that we're leaning into now. There's a more recent one. I look at AI. And I think, okay, what is AI going to disrupt, and what is going to be left valuable after AI comes in and disrupts a lot of things? And so let's take our media for a minute, like our marketing materials. There's a big push in marketing for everything to be like automated, because there are these AI platforms that can just generate videos like this, and put animated characters in it, and write all the content, and do all the audio, and transcribe it all. Like they just do all of that. That's going to be a race to the bottom. It's going to be a race to see who can pump out the cheapest, the most prolific content possible. What's that going to leave? It already is. That's going to leave a gap for authentic, personable content from individuals that have flaws and are real and are human. That's going to end up being the valuable segment, because it's differentiated from all that slop that is really cheap. So when you look at a lot of the Kixie content we produce, what does it look like? It's like handheld iPhones in the office, interviewing individual people, doing podcasts like this with real people, because again, that's going to be the valuable content in the future, in my opinion. I think that's going to be the content you're going to find. So all of you guys building businesses right now, if you establish that brand around you as a person, as a business owner, you show them behind the scenes stuff. You can take video of you guys working in the office and building a scrappy company from start to finish. That builds trust. It engenders authentic trust in your company. And let me tell you one other thing. With a small company, things are going to go wrong. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to drop the ball. There's going to be bugs, all that stuff. If someone knows what your company is going through and how you're building it from the ground up, and they know you as a person, they are going to be so much more forgiving. They're going to be in your, they're going to be with you in this fight to get bigger and to grow. And that is going to be so valuable as you compete against other more well-funded competitors that have been doing this a long time. I would really lean into that.
I think one of the fears that people have is coming across as not professional. I'm gonna not professional, but
you nailed it.
But that's not what people want to see, right? So we put all the formality into the emails, the text messages, all that kind of stuff, because we don't have to show our face and we can send those things out almost anonymously, but have it formatted really nice to try and come across as professional and big business kind of thing. But that's not what people want. People are like, just for an example, like, not talking about phone calling, but even just walking into a business and saying, hey, do you guys get Google reviews? You know, is that what are you guys doing that? I've had people be like, is that what you do? Can you talk to me more? Or, hey, do you guys have a website? No, do you build websites? Yeah, okay. Like, we can do, there's just so much stuff out there, and people just want to have a conversation with with people. And that goes with on the phone too. So it's not just, people are tired of the digital. They're tired in sales anyways. They're tired of digital. They're tired of they're tired of anonymous. They're tired of just the automated everything. Because they're getting blasted. Like, I probably get 150, 200 or plus more emails a day. Some people trying to sell me something.
My inbox is unusable. My email inbox is
too.
Unusable right now. Unusable. I have a second secret email set up. And even that, people are finding through email scrapers, and they're finding it. And it's also
got like 97,000 emails in my email inbox. That
you guys bring up a great point. I'll tell you what else is good, because I'll tell you another commodity that's going to become more valuable over time, and it's already becoming valuable. Courage, because let me tell you, now, companies as a whole want to take. And this is from an ex, from an ex-attorney too. So companies, as they get bigger, take a risk management approach that makes them less courageous over time. The bigger a company gets, the further they have to fall, and the less they have to rise. And so every large company starts becoming more and more and more risk averse and playing their cards really close to their chest. You guys on this call should do the opposite. You guys are already doing the first thing, but you're courageous enough to start a business on your own and to do your own thing. You guys should also use that courage in your communication, going door to door, going to a business and asking if they have Google reviews. No big company is doing that. Never, not in a million years. You will differentiate so much by doing that. And the courageous content you make, when you put yourself on camera and you have unfiltered a live podcast like this, that's courageous. A big company's not going to do that unless it's like a PR person who's trained in that. Writing emails that are authentic and presenting yourself as you really are, as opposed to using like Grammarly to make it just perfect and do everything. I had to unlearn this as a skill. Like, I came from the internet. I use flourishy language that people don't understand, and I think it makes me look smart. It was terrible. Like, it's my first advice to new salespeople we train. I'm like, stop trying to act like a salesperson. Like, I didn't hire you to be someone you aren't. I hired you, the person I met in the interview, to be you on the sales call. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's something I always tell like our clients inside of our agency too, because we're always collecting content from them to use for their marketing material, right? And I'm like, just go shoot something real. Like, people want to do business with real people. You don't need to edit it. You don't need a filter. You don't need a professional photographer to come in anymore. Like, people want to do business with real people. It should be so simple, right?
It makes you look less approachable. In fact, the more polished, the more professional it looks, it makes you look less approachable. And again, most of us on this call, we're not trying to sell to Google. Like, we're not looking for an enterprise customer who's used to polish, right? That's not, why would we? Why would we fight a battle where we're at such a disadvantage? Again, what we want is you asked for advice earlier about for starting your own business. Look for unlevel playing fields. when we first started selling Kixie and we were looking for integrations, we were faced with, everyone was like, you should start selling in Salesforce because all the big
Right.
guys are in Salesforce. Well,
Right.
guess where the last place I wanted to sell was? Salesforce. I
Salesforce.
went to all the other CRMs. For HubSpot at the time was little, high level. Like I went to the other
Yeah.
CRMs first, and that was so much more of a successful strategy. Because again, why am I going to compete against these companies that are raising a whole bunch of money and they've got all this marketing and PR and their names are on buses all around the Salesforce headquarters? And like, why? Why would I fight that battle? I'm going to fight the other battles where they're at a disadvantage because I'm going to fight the battle in a community that values real people and that values small business. That's where I'm going to fight because that's where I'm valued, right? Yeah.
And
that's
the same thing with your local community too, having those conversations with people that are around you. And again, like for a lot of us, if we're driving ads locally, a lot of us are doing ads locally to get local businesses, the small businesses that just want to work, they want to work with someone local. So we run ads locally to get those customers to opt in for something or pique their interest or what, start a conversation, start building that relationship with them. And then we follow up with them either by walking in or calling them up on the phone or whatever it is. It's so much more powerful to start out. And that's where you have the advantage, right? That's where we have the advantage because you would be
100%.
like a lot of clients that we've got is because we were out for the day, stopped in at a business, started talking with them, and they're like, well, we want to like, this is what we do. This is how we can help you. This is what we do. Walk into a restaurant and we're like, hey, we do restaurant marketing. I'd love to chat with you guys about some of the stuff that we do at some point, and they're like, okay, well, can you come back tomorrow when it's not busy? Right. Or walk into a local business, the same kind of thing, but you can do the same thing just like over the phone too. And I've done 100%. We've done so much stuff with that just over like Facebook, even, if we're just talking about sales too, see somebody running an ad, call them up, have a conversation and say, hey, like I just saw you guys are running this ad. A lot of the times those people are running their ad themselves. They don't have an agency they're working with, and they don't know what they're doing. They're scared of their mind because they're like, I think I'm going to screw this up. I don't know what I'm doing. I spent too much money. Is this what I'm supposed to say? Whatever. Right. And if they can offload that, if they can get somebody to help them and create some better systems around it, they love that. And then, but also they just love, again, local.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, let's talk for a minute about local. So I was at a insurance conference and most of them were on high level the other day in Arizona, and they were talking about.
Like they're all on a drug. Sorry.
They're all high on high level. You know how it is. They're all kids these days. They're on high level. You know how it is. It's a gateway drug. One day it's high level. Next day it's going to be HubSpot or Salesforce. You know how it progresses.
And you're just sitting there building automations all day.
Not very many
automations anymore.
Yeah, not very many funnels. Okay.
So I was at this conference and they were talking about big insurance agencies buying up these smaller insurance brokers.
Yep.
I'll tell you why. So, because let's think about it for a minute. Why would a State Farm or an Allstate or something like that buy up a small, as opposed to just coming into the state and competing themselves? I'll tell you why. Because it is so much harder for a big company like that, big national insurance agency, to sell into a local community than it is for a local community insurance agent that's come up in the ranks to sell into them. So they'd rather come in and buy you and your relationships up because they know that you can beat them at that game. So that should tell you something. That should tell you that you have an advantage over a gigantic national insurance branch in your local community. So much so that rather than spend their own money to compete locally, they'd rather buy up a local insurance agency because they know they can't compete with that. I mean, that should tell you right there. Local is so powerful. I mean, local is a really powerful advantage you guys have over all those bigger, more well-funded businesses. You guys should lean into it.
And you see that all the time, not just with insurance agencies, but like there's big corporations that are buying up like all the vet places. They're buying up
all the time.
All the like the dentists and stuff or whatever. They keep the brand the same, like that local brand, but then they're buying them out, and then they're under that banner. So they don't switch the marketing because they want to keep that marketing local, with that local feel. But
And believe me, they don't want to. They don't want to have to pay people millions of dollars just to buy their local insurance branch,
right.
but they have to, because they know it's a competitive advantage that all you guys have that they can't compete with, even with all their bankroll and all their money and all their marketing and all their PR. They still can't compete with it.
Absolutely.
And they need to buy you guys out in order to compete. So that lean into that. That's an advantage you have.
Totally.
Very
so
cool.
with Kixie, how does it work? I'm going to sign up. I'm going to sign up today.
Yep.
If you have multiple accounts, do you plug it into multiple sub accounts, or does how does it work as far as
we have a way to integrate multiple sub accounts. You can have them on individual Kixie BIDs, like business identification numbers. I don't want to get too wonky, but but anyway, you can buy individual accounts. We can link them together as sub accounts. We can also have one master account. If you have agents and you're operating the call center and you're the one footing the bill, they can all be agents on the same BID within Kixie. It'll all log appropriately within High Level. And here's the cool thing. We have a sales engineering team that's dedicated to High Level. We have a sales engineering team and channel team that coordinated this whole webinar, by the way, and they are dedicated to you guys, the High Level. In fact, we have a particular engineer and a particular channel rep who are the GHL Pro Tools channel rep and sales engineer. So when you come through a Kixie, you get their support and help for free. So they will help you build automations for free. They will help you set up Kixie for free. They will help you troubleshoot problems for free. Like that red carpet treatment. Again, and why do we do this? I do this because it's a strategic advantage we have.
Yeah.
Because I know if you guys
to stick around, right?
I want you to stick around. I want you to be successful. I want this product to be impactful. I mean, it wasn't like, let's be honest, I didn't wake up one day passionate about telephony. Like, oh, I want to help telephony be better in the world. Like that wasn't my help. I want to help companies grow. That's my passion. My passion in joining Kixie as employee number 5 was to help it grow as a company. And my passion remains the same for people who sign up for Kixie. Help them grow their business from a small business to a large business. Build something that allows them to generate wealth, not only for their family, but even maybe generational wealth that they can pass on to their kids. Like that's really what I want to do. And use that money to hire employees in local areas that oftentimes don't have the best job opportunities. You know what I mean? Like that's why I'm into this game. So I want to make sure we have all the resources available to all of you listening to do the same with Kixie in your business.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love it. That's exciting. I'm super excited to try it out and get it going and see what we can do with it for our tools as well as for all of our clients, for sure.
Should we open it up to some questions to see if anybody has any questions?
Sure. Yeah.
Somebody said they can't figure out the pricing on the Kixie website, but
the pricing is so typically you're going to want to call in and talk to a rep about pricing, because the pricing gets really confusing because there are so many options. But here's the other great thing is that anyone who signs up, who comes in through I think we have a landing page established for this.
Yeah, I actually put a link to it just in the chat.
Fantastic.
Just a second ago.
Anyone who comes to that landing page gets better pricing anyway than you would even see on the website. Like you guys all get additional discounts. You guys get better billing terms. So anyone who sees or calls in the typical sales line and gets pricing or billing terms that they're like, ooh, that's a little steep, go in through this link and mention GHL Pro Tools, and you'll get much better pricing and support.
Nice. So thank you. That's great.
Well, you guys are huge in the High Level community. We really appreciate all the work you guys do. I loved hanging with you. So I want to make sure that we have a special track for people who come in through this avenue, so they get a better opportunity to start. Because we do get like mid to large size businesses that come in through the typical inbound sales approach. And while I love those businesses and they help pay the bills and they're great, I'm not super passionate about them in the same way I am about helping a small business really make an impactful drive in generating revenue.
Nice. I know that this must be your favorite thing to talk about. Well, if anybody else wants to add any more questions, you can go ahead. But I've seen in the chat here a little bit of rumbling around A2P and sending whatever. Do you have any insights around that or any thoughts around A2P and
Sure. We can geek out on some of the legal stuff. So you guys are going to be worried about a couple things. You're going to be worried about, I'm going to throw some acronyms at you. You're going to be worried about TCPA, which is like dialing people. You're going to be worried about ATP, and you're going to be worried about 10DLC, right? The
Yeah.
first is really about calling people and what the rules are when and how you can call people. And the
Right.
last two are tend to be around texting people is really where people get in trouble, right? Like registering a number for texting people and then when you can text and call people. So in terms of 10DLC, we're the only company I know of that will like literally walk you through getting approval for 10DLC so that you can text people to the point where we will help you craft language on your website to get approved. Like we've built entire websites for people. I don't want to say we do this all the time, but we can. We will help you guys be compliant to the point of getting your campaign registered for 10DLC and make sure that's approved. Like that's
so
something
cool.
we really believe in. It's really important. And without it, you can't get started. In terms of 10DLC, what we've done is make our platform as easy to comply with 10DLC rules as possible. Can you still break 10DLC on Kixie? Sure, you can, but you'd have to toggle off some stuff to do it. Like, for instance, let's say you want to comply with the DNC list. There's another acronym, the do not call list.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in order to comply with that list, the government, in all of its helpfulness, has decided that they're super helpful to they're super willing to provide you with that list. All it's going to take is a small down payment of $20,000 a year. And with that small investment of 20 grand, you yourself can own the 10DLC list and make sure you don't call anybody on it. Or you can toggle on a feature with Kixie for $20 to make sure that you won't call anyone on the 10DLC list by using an AI agent. No, it's just a toggle switch. Literally, we've a third-party entity has purchased the list, licensed it to us, and then we've used AI in order to scrape the list and do that. So that's how we do it. So
that's awesome.
You can, and in order just to make it as easy to comply as possible. Same with TCPA rules about when you can call somebody. We allow you to set business hours. Like I only want to call someone between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. Let's say.
Okay.
What's tricky about that is let's say you're calling people all over the world and you're like, well, shoot, I have no idea what time zone it is in Costa Rica or wait, Arizona, has it daylight savings time yet or not? Because I know they don't celebrate it, right? Like all that stuff.
Yeah.
Our algorithm will figure that out for you. If you set the business hours as 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., no matter where you call in the world, it'll automatically calculate whether it's within that range for that area code you're dialing and then allow or not allow you to call that number within that area code.
So we give you a bunch huge.
It's really huge. Again, this is stuff like if you're a massive call center, you might have it figured out. But if you're starting out, it is so hard to get all of this stuff right. And again, if you're a gigantic company, you can absorb a $5,000 fine every time you call someone on the DNC list. If you're a small business, that is the end of your business. I mean, literally one crappy attorney, and there are a lot of us, who have set up these honeypots where you buy. I'll tell you how this works. If anyone wants a little tidbit into how this stuff works, an attorney like San Diego will buy numbers in every area code in the United States, put them on the DNC list, and then start leaking that number out for various forums and contact us stuff, and then watch it go, and then wait for people to call in to any of those numbers and then sue them. And because so it's like it's really dirty. I gotta say this a lot, but 99% of attorneys give the other attorneys a bad name. You know what I mean?
But not only the legal side of things, right? But I mean, it's the difference between a sale and not a sale. If you piss somebody off by calling at the wrong time, honestly, or texting at the wrong time, like 100%. It's just true. Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Okay. Sorry.
No, go for it.
I was going to ask about with A2P, we don't do texting and stuff through your platform, right? It would still be through High Level. So
no, well, we do texting, or you can do it through High Level.
Oh, okay.
We have automatic built-ins, like you can reply stop to stop all messages. We can have outro messages where it's like, hey, if you don't want to receive this, type in this or push this number or whatever. And then also what you want to have is some kind of pre-authorized consent to be texting or calling people. Typically, that's how you get the numbers in the first place. I mean, typically, the numbers are either coming in because they're filling out forms or contact us page, or they're coming into you, in which case, great. They've typically consented. And we can help you with the language. If you don't have consent language on your form or your sign up or your ad, we can help you draft that. We do that so often that we have kind of boilerplate language.
Nice.
The other way the leads come in is through a lead vendor. And in that case, that's the only place you want to be careful and ask the lead vendor themselves, hey, how do you get these leads? Do these leads consent to be texted or not? Because that's where you want the liability to fall on the lead vendor, not on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. We got a question from Ron here. He's got his raised here. Ron, just unmute yourself and then let us know.
You got it. It was too long to I started typing it and it was too
Okay.
long. I've got an HVAC company that I just signed as a client. They run 10 trucks. Can
Awesome.
you, and I'm busy signing up through Jason's link that he just did, but figured
Yeah.
I'd what
Great.
what about what should I charge them? They've got two
Oh, yeah.
receptionists, right? We're in the process of implementing voice AI and conversation AI and some of
Great.
those things. I'm not sure how that overlaps with what you're doing or the features.
Yep.
What's the smartest way to walk through that? You're probably going to say get on a call with our guys, but as a general rule, if I'm talking
Yeah.
to a solopreneur, how much should I sell it to him for? If I'm working with a medium size, which I consider these guys a
Yeah.
medium sized company,
Gr-
can you give me some
Great
ballpark?
question. I am going to tell you to jump on a call with a salesperson just because we got to figure out which features you want, but I'll give you the range. So typically on the low end of the range, Kixie's going to be between $65 and $95 per rep per month. And typically on the high end of the range, it's going to be around like 170, 160, something like that, like around there. You can make it cost like 200 if you really load it down with every feature you can think of. And you can make it really cheap, like 35 if you strip everything out of it in terms of unlimited dialing and stuff like that. But that's the range we typically see for the features that make it worth it anyway. You know what I mean? Like most people aren't buying Kixie just to type in a phone number, make a call. They want like all the fancy stuff. So usually it's right within that range. So then your margin is just going to depend on what the price ends up being within that range, and then how much extra you want to make on top of it to give yourself a buffer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Great. Thank you.
But that's awesome. I'm super excited. HVAC is great business right now. Again, talk about a local business. It's hard to compete with for a big company like it's not local. I mean, that's fantastic. Like, great job.
Yeah. Would you say that you would provide Kixie a lot of times as a value add type situation as an agency? That's kind of what comes to my mind. Is that 100%. It's not something that I'll really resell. It's just something that it's an advantage of working with us that nobody's going to leave. You know, 100%. The churn, right? The churn of the agency life is no matter what you do, they just fucking leave.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, so as a whole,
like good luck leaving if you've got this stuff set up. It's just like something sticky that they're not going to cancel, you know?
Totally. I mean, I'll say this too. A lot of times the cost of Kixie compared to the cost of them employing the personnel that they have is so low that it's not too bad to absorb that. It's like, okay, like if it makes one of my reps 5 or 6 times as effective as they would be without it, and it costs $100 a month. I mean, that's such a no-brainer for me. If I had a tool that made my reps even 10% more effective, given how much I pay them on a per day basis, I would buy it for hundreds of dollars a month. Like, just because that works out.
Yeah. There's someone Penka just asked, what is the pain point the client needs to be aware of to use Kixie? I think my opinion on that is that they've got a bunch of leads coming in. They're missing phone calls. They're trying to follow up with those phone calls, but it's taking them forever, and it's taking a lot of manpower in order to follow up with those phone calls, like just the time it takes. And they want to streamline that. Make everybody a little bit more productive. And instead of making 10 phone calls that don't lead to anything or don't even get connected, because that's going to take you probably 20 minutes anyways, to make those phone calls, they can go through those 10 or 20 people in minutes, and for whoever picks up, right?
I would say like it increases their ROI instantly. It just does. And it lowers their cost per lead. Those are things that your client would understand. Something that I've been telling a lot of our clients lately is just like somebody's sitting in their car waiting to pick up their kid at school. They see an ad, they fill out a form, but they don't get a call until supper time. Well, they've left that part of their lives behind. Like they're no longer the person that's even interested. Usually. They're like, why are you phoning me? I have no idea who you are. And it's like, what are you even talking about? You filled this form out 2 hours ago, but it's a completely different life ago now. Like
they might not even remember that they actually filled it out.
It is shocking, isn't it? It's so funny.
That was a different person 4 hours ago.
Like, I don't want that anymore. I don't feel fat anymore. I don't need to go to the gym anymore. Like, fuck off is basically what it is, right? And so
totally.
And it is that call hesitation a lot of
Yep.
times when you're talking to these business owners. It's not that they weren't available to call that lead.
No,
They just didn't. Like
they
they
didn't.
just didn't. They're
Oh,
like, I'm just
Yep.
gonna squirrel. Like I don't know
or
what to
like
do,
you've
right?
seen when
But
we cold call some people there,
Yeah.
and it's like you got the phone and you've got the number there, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna call them. Okay, three,
like,
two,
I don't know. They're
one.
probably not gonna
Okay,
answer
okay,
anyway,
calling.
right?
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
calling now. I'm calling. I'm calling. You
Totally.
know?
I
And
mean,
then you hang
think
up
about,
before they even
yeah,
answer. You're just like, well, they're not going to
totally.
answer the phone anyway. So why would I bother calling? Right?
Yes.
Totally. Totally. I mean, let's think about it. Anytime like you want to do something that you don't enjoy doing, like for me, I love the gym, but leg day is not my thing. Like if I have a leg day exercise coming up, everything else will start looking so enticing. It's like I gotta go to the gym. Ooh, but I do have to do this other thing over here. It's
Yeah.
not so bad. And I
Like
can
maybe
go
my
for a
car needs
sandwich.
to
I
get
can go for a
vacuumed right
sandwich right
now. I
now.
don't
And
know.
yeah, actually, I mean, I'll start finding every other thing that is productive. I put that in quotes, but not the scary productive thing I know I should be doing. A less scary, less productive thing that I kind of don't mind doing. And I'm going to put all that stuff in front of it. And that's like, so again, we want to try and get rid of that, your ability to do that as much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I think just the cost of call hesitation alone, like I can't wait to get this hooked up and get it going and just see, I think, instant results, right? From it.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. The other
Uh,
cool thing, anyone on here who wants to try Kixie, like the neat thing is we're not going to ask for any monetary commitment before you're sure it works. Like our whole thing is why I love being a salesperson at Kixie and running a sales team at Kixie is the math becomes really easy. We let you use it, and either it generates more revenue for your business than it would cost you, and then you purchase it, or it doesn't, and you don't. We don't. There's no like hard sell. It's not like, oh, it's going to be great. You just wait. Just give us the money first, and you'll find out. Like, there's none of that. We give you a free trial. We help you set it up. We get sales engineers on the phone if you're on this call. Like, we roll out the red carpet for you guys. Use it for a week, maybe 2 weeks. Find out that it works, and then it's like, okay, great. It's you're making more money with it than it's going to cost you. It's not a hard decision.
yeah.
Very cool. Awesome.
I've been just going through the process as well, just to learn, how you guys do your onboarding. Like, I'm excited to see, you're a way bigger company than we are. You're somebody that I think we look up to. So I can't wait just to be a part of, see what your onboarding process is like and what your team is like. Cause I think that's kind of where Jay and I would like to see our business go too. So
I think a big part of the onboarding is exactly what you said, and everyone can take this as an example as well of just onboarding. If you can get your customers in, you can get them set up, you can take care of them, get them using the system, using high level, using that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As an example, they're not going to want to leave.
Yeah.
Right. The hardest thing is like imagine it was like sign up for Kixie. Okay, see you later.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then but there's lots of people who are like that, right? Where it's like,
yep,
you sign up for something, it's like, okay, well, here's a doc on how to do it. Let us, try, good luck trying to get a hold of us if you have any problems.
Totally.
But as like a really good example of how to get people into your high level, into your marketing systems that you guys are building with your businesses here, is help them get set up, provide that support, go above and beyond for that first week or two, or however long it takes, month, to get them set up. Even if they're paying you don't have to do free trials, but even if they're paying you, just go above and beyond to get them set up and make sure that they're using the system. Because one of the biggest killers with having SaaS and having high level and stuff like that is people not using the system. If they don't use the system, they're going to drop off. So you have to put in that legwork up front just to make sure that they're comfortable with it and they're using it and they integrate it into their lives. So, like even with signing up for Kixie, somebody was just asking, I've got an audio shop, or a car audio shop that they've got a ton of phone calls and stuff like that. They got a bunch of leads, but nobody follows up with those leads.
Oh no.
So what do? Part of it is you can do the missed call text back and all that kind of stuff too, but another part of it is you have to have somebody on that team. You have to have somebody there trained to make those phone calls.
Yep.
You have to have somebody to make those phone calls. Shan was a hairstylist for 20 years. We've owned
Oh,
3 hair
cool.
salons. And one of the biggest things that we had with that is we had somebody at the start of every day, they would
Hmm.
call, this is their job. They had to call everybody who was in the previous day. We had 6 stylists and they all had probably 5 to 10 clients a day each. She had to
Hmm.
call everybody in the morning and follow up with them to ask them how their
Great.
service was. It was one
Love
of
it.
the best things that we could do because with
Love it.
that, you found out if anybody had any problems because people will come into a
Hmm.
hair salon, they'll get their haircut or color or whatever they got done. And if they're not happy, they'll just leave,
Yep.
right? And then they won't
Totally.
tell you because they don't want
Yep.
to offend the stylist that just did the job, right?
Yep.
So when you have somebody else and you need to, this is where you just again need to have somebody trained as part of that business. And this is where you guys can come in as an advisor and say,
Yep.
hey, this is what you guys need to have in your business, right? Is you can have somebody make those phone calls. Now for customer support, like what we were doing, that was that was nice because it was anonymous, not anonymous.
Hmm.
It was a third party asking. It was somebody who worked at
Yep.
the salon, but it wasn't the stylist calling, "Hey, how did
Like
you
a
like your hair?"
non-biased
Totally.
Yeah, it was a
opinion,
non-biased
right?
thing. So,
Yeah.
Totally.
so you get people just like, honestly, I didn't like it. I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
You know what it is? And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, cool, no problem. I'm gonna get you booked in with Chandel
That's
here, and
it.
then she's gonna fix your hair,
That's the
or
trick. It
whatever
gives
it
you a
is.
chance to remediate the problem, to fix it, right? Like,
Yes.
because that's so often we spend so much work. I mean, let's think about this. You build a business, you try and establish a brand, you get the word out there, you run marketing campaigns, you finally get a lead, you get someone to work the lead or do the hair, whatever it takes to close the deal, and then you lose them for any repeat
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Like that's the
Yeah.
worst. Like that's the
Totally.
worst, man. Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
so much better if you called them, got the facts that weren't happy with the service, gave them a discount to go see a different stylist, and got
Yeah.
them back? I mean, that's so
Totally.
valuable, and it's so much easier than getting them in the first place, right? Like
Yeah.
that level of work is so much lower than the first level of work it took to get them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And something to think
Totally.
about, you guys that are all on this call too, is um when you go talk to these businesses, take the approach that you are an advisor. Like you're coming
Yeah.
in, you have the ideas of how they can scale and grow and how they can build their business and how they can use these tools to make things better. You have the tools, they don't even know about them.
Right.
They don't even know that they should be following up with people every day to see how their service was, right? They're
Yep.
just letting it go. They're crossing their fingers and praying that things went well,
Yeah.
and they don't know. So
Yeah.
we always recommend that if you can, like, well, just take the approach that you're an advisor, because I've always found that when you go into a business, they're focused on their business. When you can
Mhm.
come in as a marketing advisor, you can say like, this is what I suggest you do. This is what I
Yeah.
think we need to do. This is what we've seen success with. And I think this is the direction that we need to implement these things here. If you go in and say,
Yep.
what do you guys need? They have no idea what they need.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
Totally.
here's what we need to do in order to get the benefits.
Yeah,
So
if they knew, they would already be doing it
they
half
would
the
already
time,
be
right?
doing
Yeah.
Like it's not knowing what they don't know. And
it. Yeah.
and let's think about it for a minute. Like if every time your salespeople or you yourself talk to a potential customer and you delivered some information, some value, some tidbits, something they didn't know, even if they didn't buy from you then because it wasn't a great fit, they're going to take your call the next time you call, and the
Yeah.
time after that, and the time after that. And so, like, if you want to establish a way for that person to be a potential customer in the future, deliver some value or teach them something every time you
Yeah.
talk to them, and they will
Yeah.
always take your call. And chances are at some
Absolutely.
point they're going to call you for help.
Yeah.
And
It's
okay, go
planting
ahead.
some seeds, right? Planting some
Yes.
seeds that they come back. They always do. Like we're onboarding clients that we've been talking to for years, couple of years.
Yep.
They're friends of theirs or whatever that have become huge for us, for sure.
Totally.
And I like to
Think,
talk about, talk about the money. Like talk about the
Yes.
money with people. Like if it's a small car audio shop and they get 20 phone calls a day and they're not getting those calls, what is
Yep.
that worth, right? It's worth hiring
Uh-huh.
a part-time person who can come in, even a kid after school who's
Yep.
interested in cars or whatever for minimum
Yep.
wage could come in and make some of those phone calls for you. right?
Totally.
Like, what is that worth, you know? And the cost of obtaining a new customer versus keeping your existing ones happy. As a salon owner, I learned all of that at a really young age. I was 18. So like,
Yeah.
right? It takes 3 visits for a customer to become a lifetime customer. As long as
Mhm.
somebody doesn't die, they don't get divorced, they don't, you don't listen to them
Yeah.
talk about their affair, right?
Yeah.
So like, how can we get them coming back 3 times quick? You know, those are
Yep.
things, if you're not going to answer the phone, you're losing a lot, right?
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
okay, with that, that's awesome. Let's wrap up today. We've been on here for a good hour.
Sure.
I appreciate you being on here. I think we had a really, really good conversation. I hope everyone's got a lot of value out of this. If you guys, I suggest go trying out Kixie. If you guys want to have an easy way to follow up with those leads and call them, um, or be able to like Pankaj just said that he wants to set up a call center for some of these clients because he's got a collection of, those ones. This is a perfect way to go and do it.
Absolutely.
We were working with a client who was getting in a ton of leads, and they essentially just had they had sales agents using the system to follow up with everybody, being able to make those multiple phone calls at the same time, so you're not wasting your time trying to dial
Yep.
people who aren't going to pick up. It's a great way to go. So I put the link again in chat. It's trykixie.com/thinkbigstudios. Think Big Studios is the name of our agency.
Yep.
So that's our link there. Go there and check it out, try it out. And I think David, thanks so much for being on
Yeah,
here.
you're great,
Oh,
I
man.
thank you
appreciate it.
guys. It was such a pleasure. I love doing this kind of stuff. So I'm really happy for you guys to have me on. And I'm really proud of everyone who joined in on this thing. I think it's so
Yeah.
easy for us to go through life and wait for information to be given to us or people to tell us to do things or whatever. It is so much harder to proactively decide, I'm going to take the time out of my day, out of my busy work day on a Friday morning
Yeah.
to go and trying to educate myself and better my business. That mentality is what's going to make you guys successful. So I encourage all of you guys to
Absolutely.
keep it up, and I'm proud of all of you for it.
All right, man.
Hey,
All
you
right.
Yeah,
guys.
you're great. It
Hey,
was great to
Yeah.
meet you.
This is
hello.
awesome.
Likewise, guys.
All right, you guys.
Hey, can I ask a
Awesome.
quick
Well,
question
yes, Judy.
before?
Yes.
Hey, Judy.
Hi, David. Sorry, I missed the whole presentation, but I did have a burning question yesterday when Jason was talking about this call and just giving a quick
Hmm.
explanation about how the system calls like people a bunch of people all at the same
Yeah.
time and then
Yeah.
connect you when one answers. So my burning question is, I don't know, maybe it was asked already, but is like if let's say by chance, like probably not, but by chance, if 2 people answer or 3 people or even
Yep.
5 people answer all at the same time, then what happens?
Great question. So there's 2 ways we can set this thing up. Typically, what's going to happen is we're going to look for the first answer, and we're looking at literally millisecond pickup time. So I've never actually seen people answer the same millisecond, meaning 1,000th of a second. Like it really rarely happens.
Right.
So there's gonna be a first. It's like the Olympics. Someone might be first by 0.15 seconds, but they're still first. You know what I mean? And that's the
Yeah.
first you're going to connect to. The other way, let's say you have a call center, because I know someone called in and had a call center. You've got a bunch of available agents. You can actually do what's called a power dialing pool. And not to make it too complicated, but essentially what let's say you got 10 agents, so they're all making calls together, and you've got a list of 1,000 leads, and they all share the same leads. You can have all of them, the same system, dialing 10 of those leads at a time. And as it connects to live people, sourcing them to each of those 10 reps that you have as it goes. So if 2 people out of that batch of 10 calls both answered, it's going to connect them to 2 different reps of yours. So there are 2 ways we kind of address it depending on how much personnel you have. That makes sense.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But let's say you don't have a call center and you're only
Great.
one person.
It's just
Then what you want to do, it's
go
going to
ahead.
be first to win the race. You're going to be running the Olympics. And that first sprinter who makes it by just a teeny tiny hair of a margin first, that's the person you're going to talk to. And the
Yeah.
person who doesn't pick up, you're going to dial that. You can dial them again the next batch, or you can set up harassment rules that, I just called them like within the last 2 hours. I don't want to call them for another 2 hours or for another day. And it'll save that lead. It won't burn them because it knows they're real. It'll save that lead and dial them in the next batch, either 2 hours later or the next day, or whatever you set up the rules to be. Yeah.
But
I love
so
it.
what
It's
happens
so
though
cool.
if they pick up? Like what they don't get to speak to
it's
anyone? It just dies. The call dies.
It'll drop off. If you have nobody else, it'll drop off. The minute that the first person answers, it'll just drop off. Now they can call you back though, is a cool thing, and it's going to route back to you as if that were your permanent phone number, and you can get a hold of them that way. Or, like I said, you can just dial them again right after. If you don't have a harassment rule on, then right after you get off that first call, you can make them part of the next batch you dial. So you get back to them right away. Hey, sorry, I think I called you like maybe half an hour ago. Someone else called me at the same time and I happened to get a hold of them. My bad. I really would love to talk to you. My name's Judy.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so it'll tell you other people that picked up that.
Yeah, it'll do, it'll automatically save that lead and put it down in the next batch on the list. So
But
it won't even pop up with it. It'll just do it. And then you'll see that one in the next batch. Yeah.
But you'll be able to see that they picked up.
Yeah.
That
If you
they
check your call
answered.
history, you'll see you'll see the answer event. So it'll be green instead of red. It's like a little icon in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Did anybody
Good
else
question.
ask that question?
No.
No,
No,
that
it's a
was
great question.
Judy.
You came at the very end with a great question, and I love that
Awesome.
stuff. If anyone here, you can even let's say you don't even not even interested in buying Kixie, you're just starting, whatever. You can feel free to sign up on that link and just ask us questions about your business or questions like that, and we'll help you out. It's like we don't run a high pressure
awesome.
sales org. We're not going to try and push Kixie on anybody.
Yeah.
Like we lead by attraction. I'll give you a fun little tidbit. Like although we help a lot of people do outbound, like right now, 65% of our revenue is inbound. It's people coming to us by leading by
That's
attraction.
super
And
cool.
then 30% of the remaining is by channel, meaning communities like this.
Yeah.
And only 5% is us actually reaching out to businesses that have never heard of us to sell them Kixie. So
That's really cool.
It's kind of cool. Again, if I had told people that when we first started Kixie, all the other sales leaders I knew, like that's crazy. You can't build a business that way. But we did build a business that way. We did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, I have so many more questions for you, but I'm not going to go there.
Bring me back on. I'm always happy to come back on. I love doing this stuff. I mean, again, like my passion is about helping businesses, not about like telephony per se. You know, it's
telephony
about
sounds like
helping
some kind of
grow.
Greek god.
Doesn't it? It is.
The god of
The
telephony.
goddess of communication.
Yeah, the goddess of communication. Yeah. Telephony. Yeah.
How long have you guys been operating at Kixie?
So Kixie's been around since 2013, but I'll give you the heads up. When we first started, people were still using landlines. So when Kixie first started, we were ready to integrate your landline desk phone to your CRM. And we had some features on top of that. And then like around, I think it was like 2017, 2018, we pivoted to what we are now, which is like a piece of software that actually you can dial through your mobile phone or through your computer. Yeah.
That's a shift. Holy shit.
Was it? Oh my God, it was huge. We've been through a couple monumental shifts in the telephone game as time has come. Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You could teach Kodak a trick or two probably then.
You're totally right. 100%. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Awesome, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much. You guys, I put the link in chat there. So go click on it, check it out, try it. Have a really good conversation with the Kixie team there. Learn about what they do and learn about, how they can help your business with it. I think they're awesome. And David, thanks so much for being on here. I think I just me too. My passion is just helping everyone, helping all these businesses succeed. We've been in business for so long. Shannon and I both been in business for ourselves for 20 plus years. And we know the ups and downs and the struggles and everything with it, right? We've done everything from hair salons to photography studios to marketing companies and web design and all that kind of stuff. But it always changes, right? There's always those monumental shifts that we have. So again, thank you so much for being on here. I look forward to having you on again. And if you guys have any questions, hit up David or click on that link there and chat with the Kixie team. They're awesome.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Amazing. Thank you.
See you guys.